Hello and welcome. I'd like us to solve this question on histogram KCSE paper 1 2016, question number 19. The frequency table below shows the daily wages paid to casual workers by a certain company. So the table is there. Part A of the question. In the grid provided, draw a histogram to represent the above information. 5 marks. So the graph was not very clear, so instead I put it at the back so you can see it there at the back. But I've drawn a table there with rows and columns that will help me to insert some of the important details that you're going to use in solving this question. The other question, part B, state the class in which the median lies, 1 mark. Then 2, draw a vertical line in the histogram showing where the median wage lies. Part C, using the histogram, determine the number of workers who earn 450 shillings or less per day. So those are the questions. We go straight to the first part, where you're supposed to draw on the grid provided. The grid is here, the histogram to represent the above information. So in order to draw this histogram, the first thing that you have to keenly look at is the classes. Look at the classes. Classes are beginning from 100 to 150, 150 to 200, 200 to 300. Are the class intervals or class widths the same? They are not uniform. So when you realize the class intervals or the class widths are not uniform, then when you're drawing the histogram, you require to have the frequency density. So how do you get the frequency density? Frequency density is given by, so I'll write it here. So frequency density is given by frequency divided by the class width. This is how we get the frequency. Frequency density is given by frequency divided by the class width. So having to know that, I think the best thing is to write it here. So frequency density is equals to frequency divided by the class width. That is how we get it. So that is why I've drawn this column here. And the first row, I will insert the cumulative frequency. I believe this one will help me in this question. Cumulative frequency. Then after getting the cumulative frequency, I will get the class width. The class width. Then after getting the class width, now I have I can now get the frequency density. Frequency density FD. We get this is how we get the cumulative frequency. 160 is the first one. Add 160 plus 120, you get 280. So 280 plus 380, 280, this will give 600. 280, 660. Then 660 plus 240, you get 900. And 900 plus 100, you get 1000. So that is how you get the cumulative frequency. The next thing is the class width. These are the class sizes. Now here you need to be very keen, because when you look at these classes, there is an observation that you're going to make. You look at 150 is the upper class limit of the first class, and then it forms the lower class limits of the second class. So when you find the class limits overlapping in this manner, to get the class width, you simply don't use the boundaries. You just take 150, just subtract the way they are. 150 subtract 100, you get 50. For the second one, 200 subtract 150, you get 50 as well. Then 300 subtract 200, you get 100. That is the class width. Then 400, the other one will be 400 subtract 300, it will give 100. And then the last one is 600 subtract 400, you get 200. So that is how you work out in a case where you find the class limiter overlapping. You don't use the class boundaries. Now after getting the class width, we now proceed and get the frequency density. Remember, the frequency density is given by frequency divided by the class width. So we just take use a calculator to do this. So you take 160. This is a 160 frequency divided by 60 by 50. First one, 160 divided by 50, you get 3.2. So this one will give 3.2. The other one is 120 divided by, so 120 divided by 50. These will give 2.4. Then the other one is 380 divided by this is just 3.8. Then this one is 2.4. 240 divided by 100. Then the other one is 100 divided by 200. That is going to give 0.5. So now we've got the frequency density. Now in such a case, we're going now to plot where the class widths are not uniform. We are going to plot on the y-axis. So let's go to the graph. So on the y-axis, this is where we shall plot the frequency density, and then the classes, the wedges, the way they are. Remember, we are not using the class boundaries. We're just going to use them the way they are. So the wedges will come here. This is where we shall have the wedges. The wedges will be on the x-axis. On the y-axis, frequency density. The x-axis, you put the wedges. So look at the scale that we need to get. So we are plotting this one, the y-axis. Then this one is the x-axis. So on the x-axis, when I look at these 100 to 600, I can simply use let me first draw something here, make sure that this is quite visible, the axis. So this is the y-axis, this is the x-axis. So we have 0 there. So 100, you can use 2 centimeters to represent 2 centimeters to represent 100 is okay. So that is why I should have like that, just 2 centimeters to represent, marking them that you can see them. So this is 100, then 200, then 300, we have 400, 500 and 600. So 2 centimeters to represent 100 shillings. So that is the scale that I've used. Then for the y-axis or the frequency density, look at the smallest value on the largest. So you can see the largest is 3.8, the smallest 0.5. So look at this scale. I can use still the same. I can use 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters to represent 1 or 0.1. 1. You can use 1. This will be 2. This will be 3. This will be 4. Because the greatest is 3.8. That is close to 4. So I'll have accommodated. Now let us now plot or draw this histogram. So the first class 100 to 150, 3.2. 3.2. Understand the size of one small square on the x-axis, 100 divided by 10. So the x-axis 100 divided by 10. There are 10 small squares between 0 and 100. So that is small square will be 10. On the y-axis, 1 divided by 10, 0.1. On the y-axis, one small square, 0.1. So 100 to 150, 100 to 150. So 100 is beginning here, so 3.2. So this is how you draw it. So 3.2 will be there. Then 150 is between 100 and 200, so you draw it like that. The second one is from 150 to 200, that is 2.4. frequency density is 2.4. To 200, this is a 2.4. 2.4 is here. 2.4 is just 2.4 is there. Then you drop down there. That is the second class. Then the other class 200 to 300, 3.8. 200 to 300, 3.8. 3.8 is 3.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8 is there. That is why I have 3.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8. Then you drop like that down like that. So that is 3.8. The other class is 300 to 400, 2.4. 300 to 400, 2.4. 2.4 is here. 2.4 is there. Then you drop that. And then lastly 400 to 600, 0.5. 400 to 600, 0.5. 0.5 is there. So all the way to 600, that is how you draw it. So after doing that, you have drawn the histogram. You can just shade the bars, make the bars to look appealing. So that is the histogram. So we have we've drawn it to represent the information. So the wages are there in Kenya shillings, and we have the frequency density, and we write this one in full. So this is write this one in full. This one is a frequency density. Now that is all about that part. So straightforward. So we go to the next part. The next part state the class in which the median wage lies. The class in which the median wage lies. The median wage, the wage that is at the middle. So we need to look at the total frequency. The total frequency that is given by the number of workers, 1,000. So the position of the median will be given by half times the total frequency. N is the total frequency. So the position will be a half times 1,000 total frequency. So we will get the median class on the 500th position. And when you look at these classes, where does that one lie? Where does the 500 position? When you look at the cumulative frequency, just look at the cumulative frequency. Look at the cumulative frequency, the class in which, so we have 160, 280, 660. So this is where we have the median. That is where we have the median class. It lies in that class. So in this is the class 200 to 300, 200 to 300, 200 to 300. So this is what we've done. Just taken half times 1,000, which is 500 position, and that one is we've got that one is which class is this? 200 to 300. So this is 200 to 300. That is the class. So let's go to the next part, and the next part is part 2, B part 2. Draw a vertical line in the histogram showing where the median wage lies. Draw a vertical line in the histogram showing where the median wage lies. We have already got the median class. This is the median class, 200 to 300. So from this table, this is the table that you're going to use, 200 to 300. Now, I want you to look at the frequency. We noted that at median we will have 500 at median, because total frequency for this data is 1,000. So if you want the median position, you get half times 1,000, half times 1,000, which will give 500. So median will lie there where we have total frequency will be 500. So that means if I take 160, look at this column where we have frequency. So we have 160 plus the other class 120, then plus the figure that you're going to add here, for frequency, where the median, this is where the median class is. This is where the median class is, 200 to 300. So when you add 160 plus 120 plus another value of frequency, not 380, because 380, when you add 380, it is going to exceed 500. There's a value of frequency that you should add here, and that should give us 500, because that is where we shall have the median. So how do we get this frequency that you're going to add here? Now look at the formula that we used, and there's a formula that I've written here. I want you to look at this one. Look at this. Frequency is given by class width times frequency density, and I will demonstrate this one using the first one here. Like this frequency 160, how do you get 160? You take the class width, which is 50, multiply by the frequency density, you get 160. How do you get 120? You take the class width 50, multiply by 2.4, you get 120. So for this class where we have the median, we already have the frequency density for that class, which is 3.8. Now what we are missing is the class width. It is not going to be 100, because 100 will give 380, and when you add 160 plus 120 plus 380, that one is going to be more than 500. So we need to get the class width, that class width that is going to be used with the frequency density in order to give that frequency. So we shall take 3.8 frequency density, multiply by the class width. We let that class width to be x, to be given by x, and this is what is going to give the frequency that will give a sum of 500. So very fast we do this. So 160 plus 120, you get 280, plus 3.8x is equals to 500. So 3.8x is equals to, x is the class width. Don't forget the class width that will be there. Don't forget that. And this one will give 500 minus 280 to give 220. This will be 220. So divide both sides by 3.8. 220 divided by 3.8 will give 57.89. 895. That is the class width. Now you can confirm. You can now confirm with these 57.895. When you add 160 plus 120 plus 3.8 times 57.895, that will give 500, and 500 is where we shall have the median. That is the most important thing. So we got the class width. So now this is what it means, that from these from 200, this point that is here, from 200 we shall add, because the median will not go up to 300, we shall add this interval that we have obtained here, 57.895. that is where we shall have the median class. So we shall take 200 from the lower limit of that class, 200 plus 57.895. So you do that very fast. So it will be 200 plus 57.895, and this will give 257.895. That is exactly where the median will be. So you can see it will not go all the way to 300. Now let's draw the line now. So when it comes to now the graph, you just draw 257.8. 257. Where will it be? So you know the size of one small square. The size of one small square is 10. So this is 250. So after that, one square, 260. So up to this point, this is we use a red pen here. This is 250, and the size of one small square is 10. So when you add 250 plus 10, it will be 260, and we have 257.895. So that line, that vertical line, will be somewhere will be located somewhere before the other square, just in the middle here. So in the middle here. So 250, when you add 10 to have exceeded, to be 260. So somewhere there, you're going to estimate it to be somewhere there. So somewhere there, just in the middle, not even in the middle. We estimate it properly, not to be 257, somewhere there. It will be somewhere there. So this is where the median class will lie. So we've drawn that vertical line. So this is 250. When you go to the next small box, 260. So 257 is somewhere between that box, that small box, and that is where it lies. So we've done that part. Now the other one is use the histogram to determine the number of workers who earn 450 or less per day. You can use the histogram, or you can go to the table. The table here is the one that is going to help you. Those who earn 450 or less. 450 or less. So 450 or less means all these 160 plus now this is a 160 plus 120 plus all these up to 900, up to 900. So 160 plus all these are less. So you are looking at the whole of these from 100 to 400. So 160 plus 120 plus 380 plus 240, that is going to give 900. So we are going to add all those who earn 450 or less. So 160 plus 120, 160 plus 120. So 160 plus 120 plus 300 and 380 plus 240, 380 plus 240, 380 plus 240. Then that one will give us 900. Then For the other class, because 450 will be here, will be in the last class, 400 to 600. So 450 will be there. So to know what you're going to use there, we said to get the frequency. So we don't have the frequency that you're going to use for that class, but we know the class size. The class size there will be 50 because we are moving from 400 to 450. So the class size at that point will be given by 50. The class size will be 50 because it is 400. Let me write it here, 450 minus 400. So that is 50, the class size. Then the frequency density is 0.5. So to get the frequency, we take the class width, which is 0.5, class width, which is 0.5. So we shall add here, class width, which is 50, times the frequency density, which is 0.5. This one is for the last part. Remember we said those who earn 450 or less are beginning from 160. All these are earning 100 all the way to 400. That is less than 450. So 160 plus 120 plus 380 plus 240, that will give 900. Then in this class 400 we have 50 more. So from 400 to 50, that is the class size of 50. Then to get the frequency, we take the class size, which is 50, multiplied by 0.5, which is the frequency density. And now when we do that, we will get the answer. So we add 160. This will give up to these. All these will give 900. Then plus 900 plus this one will give 25. 50 times 0.5, 25, and then when you add that you get 925. So the number of workers who earn 400 or less per day is 925, and that is simply how you're supposed to solve that question. Thank you.